Hey folks, how's it going? Today I am talking about another game I picked up while I was at PAX. With the cost of shipping, even in just Australia, it actually was worth me going to PAX and just buying a bunch of games and taking them back to my city in my luggage. When I left, my luggage was 9 kilograms. When I returned, it was 23. I saw this game on the first day of PAX and I was a bit busy taking everything in, but I realized quickly I hadn't seen it anywhere else before, and also copies were running out fast. When I did happen to go back to pick up my copy, I accidentally ran into the game's creator. Conventions are kind of magic like that. This game combines tabletop role-playing games with deck-building elements. It takes place in a somewhat apocalyptic world with an interesting form of magic. This is Parslings. This game takes place in an urban environment called Nominal City. A long time ago, the city had another name that few really remember. One day, suddenly, large chunks of the city rose in the air. This cataclysmic event signaled the arrival of the Parasite. This is a small ink-like parasite that infects humans. Some people, unfortunately, succumb to their parasite and lose their humanity. Other humans, though, survived and managed to establish a somewhat symbiotic relationship with their parasite. These people are called Parslings. Parslings are often identified by black words that appear on their body. For a while after the emergence of parasites, people were afraid of parslings. Eventually it was discovered not all perished from the parasite, and that they were people still. The human and parasite could coexist, and while the parasite got a host to live off of, the human gained interesting and strange powers as a result. These unique powers would often be related to the words that appeared on their body. These powers often related to the words that appeared on their body. Recently, people have begun to accept parslings, not just because they're members of their community, but also because these powers can be useful to others. Player characters can travel around Nominal City, helping communities and places come back together and repair or rebuild. At the same time, characters are finding their place in a world that has experienced so much trauma. Much of the lore of the world and the story of several parslings is told throughout the game manual in short vignettes. Some of them are really sweet and touching. Parslings uses deck building mechanics as its main game mechanic. To play this game, you need a couple of standard decks of cards. Characters begin with 15 points, which are distributed among 4 categories, which each have 2 subcategories. I'll tell you the 4 main ones though. These are push, conduct, intent, and feats. Each category corresponds to a suit in the standard deck of playing cards. The number of points you generally have in these 4 categories will indicate the number of playing cards you get to have in your deck. A character that is starting off as a basic character without any advancements starts with 15 points and therefore has 15 cards. As players, you get to choose which cards go into your deck, so you're actually having to make smart decisions about what cards you want to put into your deck, depending on what things you're good at and what cards you might need to cover when that situation comes up. Players also have some modifiers. These modifiers indicate how many cards can be drawn at a time. Say if it's a skill test that calls on clubs, if your character has a relevant modifier to that skill, they might be able to draw 2 cards instead of 1. For the test, you really want to draw the same suit as the suit that's being tested. If you don't draw a card that is of the matching suit, you automatically fail. The number on your card is also relevant. The number represents the complexity of how your character is going to tackle the situation. A 1 or the ace being the lowest, and then going up from there. The higher the number, the more complex the solution the character can give. Like if a character encounters a locked door, a 1 is going to be running into the door, whereas an 8 or a 9 might be picking the lock. These cards are also used for several other purposes. For example, if a character is injured, a card from their deck can be put aside to indicate that that character is injured and not at full capacity. As you advance in the game, you get to put more points into skills or modifiers and other advancements. This can increase the number of cards you draw or the number of cards you just have in your deck. Therefore, as your character grows, so does the size of your deck. I could really talk about this game for a lot longer because I've only scratched the surface of the base mechanics, but I feel like I really want to talk about how the magic works in this world, so I'm gonna jump over to that. Parslings make their presence known to their hosts and the world at large by appearing as words on the host's body. These words are related to the powers that the host will then gain. An example that is included in the book is a character has the word malaise, which allows them to see pain and suffering on the human body as a strange haze. Players get to brainstorm and decide what words they would like to have on their character. Every word that the player character has on their body is going to have some side effect on them. The word is known as an aspect and the side effect as an augment. In this world, players can also work to combine their words to achieve extraordinary things. This is called a pass. The players have to be connected to each other in some way. For the players, mechanically, they have to agree on several things. The players mechanically have to agree on what order the words go in, what the intended effect is, and what the level of the pass is. Several different levels will be offered by the Game Master for the players to choose from. A higher number might mean they achieve better than what they want to do, but perhaps there's more risks. A higher level might carry more risks, but it might achieve better than a lower level, which is less risky. To create a pass, the players then do have to make a check. If the pass fails, there can be backlash against the characters. I will say the mechanics of this game do feel crunchy, but I think perhaps there is an adjustment that you would have to make when introducing yourself to this game. This is a tabletop game which is incorporating deck building mechanics into it. It's certainly not something I've really seen before. I really found the world of Parslings really touching. Parslings have gone through so much in this world, yet there's still a desire to help each other and help their communities. The art of this book is really striking. A lot of the artwork has washes of color where one or two colors will dominate the image. This gives the manual imagery almost a dreamlike effect. If nothing else, it's incredibly cinematic and striking. I will say though, I did find when I first looked at the character sheet, I was really intimidated by it. I don't happen to be a super visual person and I really struggle with diagrams, and there I was being presented with a pie chart. I do think the mechanics are pretty well explained and I find them really interesting. I will say if you get a kick out of playing mechanically focused games, this game does a pretty good balance of mechanics and roleplay. I think what will really engage people is the fact that it's using deck building as its main mechanic. If you're intrigued by any of the things I've described, but especially the application of deck building, please check this game out. I got very lucky to pick up a physical copy at a convention. For the moment, the easiest way for everyone to get a copy of it is to get a PDF online for $15.99 US. I really think this is a super unique game that has a lot to offer. I know in indie or smaller game publishing, we're used to tarot cards being used, or a deck of cards in general, or a Jenga tower or tokens, but I think the deck building is a fun and interesting take on it that I'm glad to see it's being incorporated. But let me know your thoughts down below. Would you want to try a game like this? While you're in the comments telling me your thoughts, I encourage you to like, subscribe, maybe share with a friend. It all just encourages me to keep going. I also have a Ko-fi page where you can donate to the channel and check out what I'm doing and working on from behind the scenes. Just watching though is a huge amount of help and I really appreciate it. I hope you're all well and I look forward to seeing you next time at the gaming table. Bye!